America might be the land of opportunity, but let's be honest, not every state is living up to that reputation. Behind the glossy tourism ads and catchy slogans lie places where residents are packing up and leaving faster than ever. High crime, soaring taxes, crumbling infrastructure, and a cost of living that drains savings quicker than a Vegas slot machine. These are just a few reasons people are saying, "I'm out of here." In this video uncovers the worst states in America you should never move to, the 10 places people are fleeing and the reasons life there just isn't what it used to be. From states battling population decline and stagnant economies to those where the American dream feels more like a nightmare, we're pulling back the curtain on the places you'll want to think twice about before calling home. So before you pack your bags or sign that moving contract, stick around, because by the end of this countdown, you'll know exactly which states to avoid if you value your money, your safety, and your sanity. Let's dive in, starting with number 10. Number 10. New York, the empire state of empty wallets. Ah, New York. The state that sells big dreams but delivers even bigger bills. You know things are rough when lifelong New Yorkers start calling U-Haul their retirement plan. Let's break it down. New York's cost of living index hovers around 148, meaning you're paying nearly 50% more than the national average just to exist. Rent alone can make you question your life choices. A one-bedroom apartment in New York City averages around $4,200 a month, and that's before utilities, parking, or your $9 latte habit. Now, before the upstate loyalists come after me, yes, there's more to New York than the 5 boroughs. Cities like Buffalo, Syracuse, and Rochester do offer a more affordable lifestyle, with median home prices around $200,000 to $250,000, compared to the city's $500,000 closets. But here's the catch, those same towns are struggling with population decline, aging infrastructure, and job markets that move slower than Times Square traffic. Speaking of population, New York is bleeding residents. Between 2020 and 2024, the state lost over 630,000 people, making it one of the top states Americans are fleeing. Most head to Florida or the Carolinas, where taxes are lower and the sunshine's free. Meanwhile, New York still holds its title as one of the most heavily taxed states in the nation, with a combined state and local tax burden of nearly 15%, meaning for every dollar you earn, Uncle Sam's cousin from Albany takes his cut. But it's not just about money, it's about morale. New Yorkers are known for their hustle, but even that's wearing thin. Commutes average over an hour in some areas, infrastructure grades linger around AC, and winters in upstate towns can feel like 6 months of punishment. Sure, the perks, Broadway, museums, and pizza that could make you tear up are top-notch, but outside the city, you often wonder if you're paying big city prices for small-town frustrations. So, is New York unlivable? Not exactly. But unless your dream involves juggling high taxes, high rent, and high blood pressure, you might want to join the migration south. Because right now, the Empire State feels less like the city that never sleeps, and more like the paycheck that never stretches. And that's why New York kicks off our list at number 10 on the worst states in America you should never move to. Number 9. Arizona, where the heat isn't the only thing that'll burn you. Welcome to Arizona, land of blazing sunsets, cactus selfies, and existential heat exhaustion. Sure, it's beautiful, but let's not romanticize living in an oven 8 months a year. When locals say, it's a dry heat, what they really mean is you can fry breakfast on your car hood without setting off a smoke detector. Let's start with climate. Arizona is ground zero for record-breaking temperatures. Phoenix alone endured 31 consecutive days above 110 degrees Fahrenheit in 2023, and it's not cooling anytime soon. Scientists have stopped calling it global warming, they just call it Arizona weather. Combine that with water shortages so severe that some neighborhoods outside Scottsdale literally had their water deliveries cut off, and you'll see why the Grand Canyon state is losing its shine. Affordability used to be Arizona's saving grace. People fled California for lower costs, until Arizona followed in California's footsteps. The median home price now sits around $440,000, up nearly 40% in just 5 years. Wages haven't kept up, but property taxes, insurance, and utility bills sure have. During summer, electric bills easily climb past $400 a month. Because let's face it, living without AC isn't an option unless you're a lizard. Then there's crime. Phoenix's violent crime rate sits at 732 incidents per 100,000 residents, higher than the national average, and property crime is worse. Cities like Tucson and Glendale aren't far behind. Smaller desert towns like Prescott or Flagstaff offer more peace and charm, but with trade-offs: limited jobs, high housing demand, and grocery prices that feel hand-delivered by camel. On the bright side, Arizona still boasts jaw-dropping landscapes, incredible food, and a strong retiree community. But if you're not into sweat therapy, dust storms, or wondering whether Lake Mead still has water, the dream fades quickly. With rising costs, environmental strain, and relentless summer heat, Arizona feels less like paradise and more like a luxury sauna you can't afford to leave. That's why Arizona ranks number 9 on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 8. Alaska, the final frontier of your budget and patience. Alaska, the land of glaciers, northern lights, and moose casually blocking your driveway like it's rush hour in Anchorage. It's stunning, no doubt, but living here isn't about serenity, it's survival. Think of it as a reality show called Extreme Living, Cold Edition. Let's start with distance. Alaska is remote, really remote. Over 80% of its communities aren't connected by road, meaning most supplies must fly or ship in. That $5 loaf of bread from the lower 48? Try $9 in Bethel. A gallon of milk? $8 to $10. Amazon Prime? 2 days shipping becomes 2 weeks and a prayer. The cost of living ranks among the top 5 highest in the nation, driven by import expenses and limited infrastructure. Utilities are brutal. Heating bills can top $400 a month during Alaska's long, merciless winters. Even gas prices stay above the national average, ironic for an oil-producing state. The median home price sits around $390,000, which sounds fine until you factor in the cost of staying warm and stocked. To their credit, Alaskans are tough. The median household income is about $85,000, above the national average, but every dollar pulls double duty to offset the state's isolation and climate. Healthcare is another challenge. If you get sick in rural Alaska, your first step may literally be booking a flight. Access to hospitals and specialists is scarce outside Anchorage or Fairbanks. Crime also looms large. Anchorage consistently ranks high in property crime, and isolation amplifies social challenges. Add in the months-long darkness in some regions, and seasonal depression stops being a figure of speech. In short, Alaska is an adventure, breathtaking but brutal. You'll learn unforgettable stories, maybe even a moose sighting or two, but you'll pay premium prices to stay warm, connected, and sane. That's why Alaska takes the frosty number 8 spot on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 7. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping, and takes your paycheck with it. Oklahoma, the land where the wind doesn't just come sweeping down the plains. It also carries off your hopes for affordable healthcare, decent wages, and a pothole-free commute. Don't get me wrong, the Sooner State has heart. It's full of country charm, barbecue that'll make you weak in the knees, and neighbors who wave even if they've never met you. But once you settle in, you quickly realize that beneath that friendly smile is a state struggling to keep its head above the tumbleweeds. Let's start with the basics. Oklahoma ranks near the bottom in nearly every key quality of life metric. In WalletHub's 2025 rankings, it placed 45th overall, weighed down by poor healthcare access, failing infrastructure, and safety concerns. The violent crime rate hovers around 456 incidents per 100,000 residents, higher than the national average, while property crime is even worse, roughly 2,700 per 100,000. In cities like Tulsa and Oklahoma City, car thefts and catalytic converter recycling have become local pastimes. Now, Oklahoma loves to brag about its low cost of living, and yes, housing is affordable. The median home price sits near $200,000, which sounds appealing until you realize why it's so low. Many small towns are facing economic decline, with poverty rates near 15% and limited job opportunities outside of energy, agriculture, and government work. And speaking of energy, the weather's got plenty of it. Tornadoes in spring, ice storms in winter, triple-digit heat in summer. It's basically Mother Nature's obstacle course. As for infrastructure? Let's just say the roads here have more cracks than a high school group chat. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave Oklahoma's infrastructure a C, and that might be generous. Healthcare access is another sore spot. The state ranks 48th in health outcomes, and rural hospitals are shutting down completely. In some counties, you're more likely to find a sonic drive-in than a doctor. Still, Oklahoma isn't without bright spots. Norman and Broken Arrow are relatively safe and growing, and the people truly make the state feel warm, even when the weather's trying to kill you. But if you're planning to move here for the promise of big savings and simple living, just remember, cheap doesn't always mean better. In the end, Oklahoma is the kind of state that'll greet you with a smile, hand you a glass of sweet tea, and quietly hope you don't notice the problems under the porch. And that's why it lands at number 7 on the list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 6. Nevada, where what happens here usually costs too much. Nevada, the land of flashing lights, ringing slot machines, and the eternal promise that what happens here stays here. But let's be honest, what usually stays is your money, your patience, and sometimes even your car, if it got stolen downtown. From afar, Nevada looks glamorous, Las Vegas's neon skyline, Lake Tahoe's alpine serenity. But beneath the glitter is a state struggling with affordability, safety, and an economic roller coaster that leaves many regretting their move. Let's talk money. Nevada might boast no state income tax, but don't let that fool you, you'll pay for it elsewhere. The cost of living index hovers around 112, above the national average, and the median home price is roughly $460,000 statewide. In Las Vegas, it's even higher. Renters are feeling the squeeze too, with median monthly rents topping $1,700, up nearly 30% in just a few years. Between housing, utilities, and summer air conditioning bills, you'll soon wonder if skipping state income tax was worth it. Safety isn't much better. Nevada consistently ranks among the top 10 states for violent and property crime. In Las Vegas, the violent crime rate exceeds 700 incidents per 100,000 residents, and property crime runs rampant, especially in tourist-heavy zones. Even smaller cities like Reno aren't immune. Its growing population is matched by rising homelessness and coastal-level living costs. Then there's the environment, or what locals call the Great Bake. Triple-digit heat is the norm, and water scarcity has reached crisis levels. Lake Mead, once Nevada's pride, has been shrinking for years, forcing serious talks about sustainability. Meanwhile, wildfires and dust storms are transforming once idyllic northern regions into health hazards. To be fair, Nevada still has its upsides. breathtaking desert vistas, world-class entertainment, and a tax code that looks good on paper. But the shine fades fast. Locals are increasingly frustrated with traffic, rising rents, and wages that simply don't keep pace. So, while tourists may come for a weekend of fun, many residents are quietly planning their exit. Because in Nevada, what happens here might stay here, but most people don't. That's why Nevada rolls the dice at number 6 on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 5. Arkansas, the natural state with unnaturally high problems. Arkansas calls itself the natural state, and sure, it's got stunning forests, rolling hills, and lakes that look like they belong on a postcard. But once you look past the scenic views, you start to wonder, why are so many people leaving? Let's start with the economy, or as locals might say, we're doing what we can. The median household income in Arkansas is around $57,000, well below the national average, and the poverty rate sits at nearly 16%, one of the highest in the country. Jobs are heavily concentrated in agriculture, retail, and manufacturing, meaning unless you work for Walmart, headquartered in Bentonville, your career options may look slimmer than a dollar pancake. The cost of living is low, with median home prices around $190,000, but that affordability comes with trade-offs. Many towns lack reliable infrastructure, healthcare access, and job diversity. According to WalletHub's 2025 report, Arkansas ranks 47th in healthcare and 48th in education. Translation: your wallet might breathe easy, but your mind and body won't. Crime is another serious issue. Little Rock, the capital, has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country. About 1,400 incidents per 100,000 people, more than triple the national average. Even smaller cities like Pine Bluff and West Memphis often make appearances on most dangerous cities lists. Property crime? Don't even think about leaving your car unlocked, it's practically an invitation. Then there's infrastructure, pothole-riddled roads, underfunded schools, and rural areas that still lack reliable broadband. And while Arkansas boasts natural beauty, it also faces extreme weather. Tornadoes in spring, floods in the lowlands, and scorching heat waves in summer. It's like Mother Nature's testing your patience and your survival skills. To be fair, places like Bentonville, Rogers, and Fayetteville are trying to rewrite the story, with bike trails, tech growth, and a more modern vibe. But for every Bentonville success story, there are a dozen small towns where opportunity feels like folklore. So yes, Arkansas has heart, and more fried catfish than you can handle, but it's also one of the toughest states to build a stable, comfortable life in. If you're chasing safety, opportunity, and a modern lifestyle, this might not be your jackpot. That's why Arkansas lands at number 5 on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 4. Oregon. Oregon, the state that looks like a dream until you actually live there. It's one of those places that seem flawless on a postcard. Misty forests, rugged coastlines, and mountains that practically invite poetry. But here's the catch: Oregon is easy to fall for from afar. Up close, life in the Beaver State feels less like a Pacific Northwest fantasy and more like an expensive endurance challenge. Let's start with what once made it shine: nature, coffee, and culture. Portland used to be the trendsetter of the West Coast. Hipster paradise with food trucks, bikes, and indie roasters on every corner. But that cool factor has faded. The city now grapples with rising homelessness, safety concerns, and soaring living costs. Portland's violent crime rate hovers around 558 incidents per 100,000 residents, and property crime ranks among the highest in any major U.S. city. Statewide, Oregon's issues aren't catastrophic, just consistently frustrating. Think of it as a straight C student across the board. According to WalletHub's 2025 rankings, Oregon sits near the lower third in affordability, 41st, safety, 39th, and economic health, 36th. The median home price has climbed to about $480,000, while the average income lags at roughly $76,000. It's not California-level pain, but it's definitely on the same track. And while you'd think all that rain would wash away your worries, it mostly floods your shoes and tests your mood. Oregon has one of the highest depression rates in the country, partly thanks to its long, gray winters. Add in worsening wildfire seasons, and it's clear Oregon doesn't do mild weather, it does miserable variety. And then there's taxes. Sure, Oregon has no sales tax, sounds great, until you notice income tax rates reaching nearly 10%. That's a lot of lattes. And for all that money, you'd expect perfect infrastructure. Instead, highways and public transit are aging faster than your patience in Portland traffic. To be fair, it's not all bleak. Cities like Bend and Eugene still offer strong communities and incredible outdoor access. But they're becoming increasingly unaffordable, pushing out longtime locals. So yes, Oregon is beautiful, yes, it's progressive, but it's also expensive, unpredictable, and exhausted. The dream of the 90s might still be alive in Portland, but for most residents, it feels more like a rerun. That's why Oregon lands at number 4 on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 3. California. California, the golden state that'll cost you every golden penny. It's the land of movie stars, palm trees, and traffic jams that make you question life choices. A place where dreams are born but bank accounts go to die. Sure, California still has world-class beaches, a powerhouse economy, and unmatched diversity. But unless you're cashing Silicon Valley stock or signing Hollywood contracts, living here can feel like starring in a financial thriller called Broken Paradise. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, cost of living. California ranks second in the nation, right behind Hawaii. The average home costs around $785,000 statewide, and in cities like Los Angeles or San Francisco, that number shoots past $1 million. Rent isn't kind either. A one-bedroom in LA averages $2,600 a month, roughly the size of your patients on the 405. And taxes? Relentless. California has the highest state income tax in America at 13.3%, paired with gas prices often exceeding $5.50 a gallon. Add electricity bills topping $250 monthly, and you'll see why even middle-class families are heading east. Between 2020 and 2024, over 900,000 people left California, many bound for Texas, Arizona, or Florida. They're calling it the California Exodus, and the numbers tell the story. Of course, it's not all bad news. California's GDP is the largest in the US, and if it were its own country, it would boast the 5th largest economy in the world. But that wealth isn't shared evenly. The gap between rich and poor is among the widest nationwide. Tech billionaires build rockets while families in Fresno and Bakersfield juggle multiple jobs just to stay afloat. And let's not forget the instability. Rolling blackouts, wildfires, droughts, and a growing homelessness crisis have turned daily life into a challenge. Sure, there's still sunshine, opportunity, and some of the best tacos north of Mexico, but those perks rarely outweigh the price tag. Unless you've got deep pockets and SPF to spare, the Golden State might leave you more bronzed and broke than blessed and booming. That's why California lands at number 3. Number 2. Louisiana. Louisiana, the bayou state where the charm is real but the struggle is too. It's home to jazz, gumbo, and a spirit that never quits. But once you look past the music and the festivals, the reality hits harder than a hurricane. Culturally, Louisiana is a gem. The food, the rhythm, the soul, all unmatched. But when it comes to quality of life, it's less laissez, less bonds temps rowler, and more let the bills pile up. In 2025, WalletHub ranked Louisiana 49th out of 50 states, citing major issues with economy, safety, and infrastructure. The poverty rate stands around 18.6%, one of the highest in the country. The median household income barely crosses $55,000, not terrible, until you factor in rising rent and hurricane prep costs. You can stretch $1 here, but you'll feel every pull. Crime is another serious concern. Louisiana has the highest violent crime rate in the U.S., about 629 incidents per 100,000 people. New Orleans frequently ranks among the most dangerous cities, and Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and Monroe aren't far behind. Infrastructure? Held together by duct tape and crawfish shells. The state ranks 48th nationally for infrastructure quality, and its roads crumble faster than a beignet under powdered sugar. Add constant natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, coastal erosion, and you've got non-stop rebuilding. Many insurers have even pulled out, leaving residents scrambling for overpriced coverage. Education and healthcare don't fare much better, both sitting near the bottom nationwide. For young professionals, it's like hitting every red light on the road to success. Still, Louisiana has heart. The people are resilient, the food is second to none, and the culture is alive no matter the hardship. But great gumbo can't fix bad governance, and a Mardi Gras parade won't patch your roof after the next storm. Louisiana is beautiful chaos, heavy on the chaos, earning it the number 2 spot on our list of the absolute worst states in America you should never move to. Number 1. New Mexico. New Mexico, the land of enchantment, and of endless struggle. Its landscapes are breathtaking, its mix of native and Hispanic culture deeply rich, and its sunsets could humble an artist. But behind the beauty lies some of the harshest realities in America. When it comes to quality of life, New Mexico ranks dead last on nearly every list. In 2025, WalletHub placed it 50th overall for safety, education, and livability. The violent crime rate hovers around 780 incidents per 100,000 residents, nearly double the national average, and Albuquerque carries much of that burden. Property crime is worse still, at roughly 3,400 incidents per 100,000. Lock your car, your doors, and maybe your mailbox. Yes, homes are more affordable here, a median of $290,000, but with household incomes averaging just $58,000, it's still a stretch. The poverty rate sits near 18%, and with limited job opportunities, affordable doesn't necessarily mean livable. Education offers little relief. New Mexico ranks last in K-12 quality and student achievement. Healthcare access is equally grim, especially in rural areas where hospitals are few and far between. Outside of government, energy, and tourism, jobs are scarce. Many young people head to Texas, Colorado, or Arizona in search of opportunity, leaving behind towns that feel half-empty. Still, there's undeniable magic here. The art of Santa Fe, the spiritual calm of Taos, the pure wonder of White Sands. But beauty alone can't offset poverty, crime, or decaying infrastructure. So while New Mexico enchants visitors, it often frustrates those who stay. Gorgeous? Absolutely. Easy to live in? Not even close. That's why New Mexico takes the top spot as the worst state in America you should never move to. And there you have it, the 10 absolute worst states in America you should never move to. From crumbling infrastructure and soaring taxes to unbearable costs and sky-high crime, these places prove that not all zip codes are created equal. Some are stunning on the surface but brutal beneath, while others simply never got a fair break. Now, don't get it wrong, every state has its bright spots and good people. But when the economy's shaky, the bills keep piling up, and safety feels optional, it's no surprise that more residents are packing up and heading elsewhere. So before you make your next big move, do your homework. Check the stats, compare the lifestyle, and weigh the trade-offs, because the dream of a fresh start can turn into a financial nightmare if you're not prepared. If you enjoyed this countdown and want to see which states are actually worth moving to, hit that like button, subscribe and turn on notifications. Your next home might be one click away. Just make sure it's not in one of these states.